Hello guys, this is just a run through of the Knocker defensive on the Shadow Priest with the new changes that are in. These are the talents that I'm running at the minute. They have actually introduced the shadow changes. So you got Harness Shadows now, you have Coalescent Shadows, which is essentially just a DPS increase. Passive DPS increase, you don't really need to manage it much in regards to your Mind Blast and your dot damage overall. So it's a pretty standard build that everybody's been playing, but they have reshuffled some of the talents around in the tree. Feel free to pause the video at any point and just have a quick look through them yourself. But it is pretty generic. I do believe this is kind of what everybody's going to be playing with, adjusting around. And personally, I think this is what will end up being the strongest for keys, at least. You don't really get as much of a good idea in this kind of content, purely just because it's a normal dungeon, right? Everything dies so easily. But we'll give it a go and we'll see how it goes anyway. So, what I've found, I mean, you can find out from reading the talents anyway, but it's a really nice little tweak, I think, well, at least in my opinion. So, if you're playing Misery as a talent, and you end up playing Shadow Crash, it applies both dots to it. I don't know if that's actually how it's meant to be implemented, if that's what Blizzard wants, but that's how it works at the minute, and hopefully that stays because it's a nice little... I like having little links between talents like that anyway. Kind of makes you feel like the class is a bit more in depth as to what it is, which is, I think, what a lot of people have wanted since Mr. Pandaria, when we, feel like we've missed out on quite a lot of class tuning, like specific class fantasy, and it's really nice. Everybody wants their class to feel like it's a bit in depth, right? Like there's a little bit more to it that can make you stand out as a better player. Another nice little thing that they fixed on the beta is before, your Mind Spike procs from Surge of Darkness weren't working, so they were still consuming the debuffs on the target. So if you wanted to at least try playing Mind Spike, you would have to, rebuff every single time, which was a pain. It wasn't, it wasn't terrible, but it really wasn't fun to play around. And as well, I do think personally I'd be playing Halo. I like the look of Halo a little bit more, but in dungeons it's just not worth it, especially when you're going to be doing it on live and you get into keys and your body pull, or you end up pulling a ridiculous amount of trash from the radius of Halo because it is still quite big. So again, I'm not too sure if they fixed the scaling on idle. I will find out after this dungeon when I have a quick look. Should be okay. See, as I was saying, it's kind of hard to judge the damage scaling at the minute because things still do die very quickly in normal dungeons. I'm almost level 70, so I will be getting into the heroic dungeons at some point as well, so you'll have a better idea of how it fares in there. And that's what happens when stuff gets body pulled. I think the healer had a bit of an issue anyway. I think he said at the start of the dungeon that he wasn't able to heal anybody, so it could have just been that. But we go again. One of the things that I still find a little bit weird is on beta, you've got to power infuse somebody else because you play the talent right and everybody gets use out of it. But when I'm playing my priest on live, I forget and I go to PI somebody else. Not too sure why the damage meter's not working. Another thing that they've managed to make Shadow Priest really good at is the hybrid healing that a lot of people wanted anyway. So Vampiric Embrace is actually a really big cooldown now, which is really nice to see. I think we might just have to wait for the add-on guide to update details again, to be honest. Can lock the rest of the dungeon. I should have been doing it from the start. Just won't have it in from the start, it's not the end of the world. I will always be doing more dungeons anyway. One thing that you'll probably notice if you don't end up playing Misery is just how long it can take to get dots up still at this low haste. they took Sacred Nightmare out, so there's no other way to get it on efficiently without dotting everything individually. But the Shadow Crash interaction with Misery, it's just so nice. I love it. I still think Mind Seer does drain a little bit too much insanity. You get one cast off and then you've got to regen again and then go through the whole process. Maybe with more gear, it'll be nicer. And I mean, I'm not playing the talent that reduces it by 5, but I don't think that's going to make that much of a difference, honestly. I wonder if there's a limit on the stacks you can get here. Ah, 10. Yeah, there is. So you just want to sit on 10 stacks the whole time and just refresh it. Very good, very nice. So when they said they were adding Shadow Orbs back, I really thought that they were going to actually implement Shadow Orbs with a form of spender. So maybe you pick a talent that lets you devour and plague, using Shadowy Orbs to empower it. But it is just passive buffs. It's not terrible. I mean, dot damage increased by 10%, right? That's nice. And then you've got the Coalescent Shadows, which increases damage of Mind Blast. Again, it's not terrible. It's just passive. You don't really have to min-max it. Although it will stack with the damage buff from Surge of Darkness for Mind Blast, so ideally you want to hit 3 stacks of Mind Spike buff into Coalescent Shadows, and that'll do a big bit of damn. But I mean, I think at this point we just take what we get, right? I'm happy with any changes that make the spec work. Again, like one cast of Mind Seer and already you've got to farm sanity again. And I really don't think the talent will make that much of a difference. Again, another nice change that I've realised is that they've put the Shadow Spike Mind Blast damage onto the character as a buff, not on a debuff as the enemy. That'll make a huge difference when you're target swapping. So you can pull the stacks before just blasting a priority mob maybe, or a mini boss. Hello, thank you for the follow. Be much nicer to track all these procs with weak orders again though, I won't lie. At the minute I'm trying to keep an eye for Coalescent Shadows, Mind Spike buff, and yeah, it's a lot. Which, it's funny because stuff like that just gets trivialised on Mallet retail. Last boss. I know I may not have a lot of logs to go over either because I didn't log before the first boss, but we'll have a look at it at the end of the dungeon and just go through it together. Have a look at what the damage breakdown looks like now after the few changes that they've done to the spec. They didn't know. If you still get the debuff, you get knockback even if you dismount. I would have saved Shadow Crash if I knew he was going to go this big. Well. Still get some good damage out with playing Misery anyway. Make sure we get those Empowered Shadow Word deaths in. Can't wait to see if the thing from Beyond actually does decent damage now from Idol of Nuzov. Or Yogg-Saron, sorry. It was doing barely anything last beta build, so might have fixed it. There we go. It's doing like 1.5k hits. Feel like they do need to make that cleave though. Otherwise, if you get a proc on a big pull, it's not going to do much at all, really, right? Holding Shadow Crash for the odds. Can at least get all dots up on one side then, even if they don't stack. I feel like Mind Games is really underrated as well. The 85k Mind Blast with everything stacked up. So that was with Surge of Darkness 3 stack, you had Coalescent Shadow, that was really nice. Again, it's nice to have that ramp up and you know you're going to get a big hit. So that'd be really good for priority targets and raids or keys. Right, we'll leave this group and then we'll pull up the logs. May just get somewhere. I don't know, I'm not going to get blasted. Right, 1 second. Let's have a look, shall we? Encounters and trash. Wow. What he's flying. We'll have a look at ours anyway. So this is everything all together with the trash and the bosses. As you can see, it's a lot of Shadow Crush damage. That's not even just applying the dots, right? That's just the initial damage. That's really nice. I'm not sure if you'll play Mindbender for Shadow Flame Prism. I'm just not sure, and I don't think it's showing up here really. So that might be it's just not working. I really couldn't tell you. Mine's here doing a bit more damage than before the patch, but again, it's still not enough to warrant pressing, I don't think. Knowing you could be getting out Devouring Plagues instead. Let's have a look at Mind Blast damage. $23k, that's really not bad. Let's have a look at the bosses. Again, Prot Warrior scaling's just a bit iffy, I guess. But if we have a look at this, it's the generic breakdown that you would have on live as well right now. Devouring Plague, Mind Blast. This has the potential to be a lot higher than what it is now, just because when you're weaving in all of the procs, you know, the Mind Spike damage, the Coalescent Shadows damage, you're going to be getting, like you saw then, 35k Mind Blast in the last boss. It's a lot of damage. And you're fully in control of that, right? As long as you pull your Mind Spike damages, your Coalescent Shadows is up when you're pressing it, which is going to be up pretty much all the time anyway. You're going to be chunking a lot of health with this. And Divine Star, it's just something that you press when you can. But again, nothing really changes in terms of the damage breakdown. Mind Games, it's really nice if you use Rib for a big ability. Think from Beyond, still a little bit weaker than what I would like. Yeah, it's a end of the tree talent. It should be doing a bit more than 0.8% of your damage in an entire dungeon. Maybe that's just me being petty. I mean, they've done a lot of nice things to Shadow. But you can't have a talent like a Capstone right at the bottom that's doing that little damage. It just doesn't bode well for the future. Look at healing. Yeah, I mean, but without even trying, right, Vampiric Embrace, I just used it on the big packs. It's a lot of healing. It is. I think Shadow has the potential to be an actual decent off healer. It already is on live if you get Vampiric Embrace in the right time. But there's quite a few nice talents that let you look after yourself technically. And Divine Star as well. Divine Star in a raid or Halo in a raid, it's going to be doing a good 10-15% of everybody's health. Use it alongside the Spirit Link, it's going to be huge. I'm really happy with that. So overall, I'm really happy with the changes that they've done this patch. I was expecting Shadow Orbs to be a thing and not just to have Coalescent Shadows. Who knows, it can get changed again. But the procs are nice, the damage buff is nice, you're going to be getting a big bit of damage in your Mind Blast. Which, again, you're pressing it anyway. It's in the rotation, you're just going to prioritise it above, you know, a Mind Flay or even maybe a DP, as long as you're not going to overcap. You know, you're going to be prioritising it as soon as you see that you've got all the procs. Yeah, and 100% chance to gain Coalescent Shadow when you critically hit. Yeah, you know. And you're going to be critting a lot anyway, especially when you've got that many dots up, and the dot crits are actually classing as able to buff that proc up as well. I'm really happy with it anyway. But yeah, we'll leave like that, team. I'm going to be doing some heroic dungeons. I'm recording them later on today when I hit 70. So what I'll do is I'll throw them up as well. But yeah, no, keep an eye on the channel because I'm going to be putting up every dungeon that I can do, really. I'm really avid Shadow player anyway. So I know we've got the likes of Public and everybody else that are working really hard on it. But I think it's nice to have just an average guy who got lucky to get the beta just trying out different builds as well. So thanks, team, and I'll see you around.